All right, so conditional probabilities are a bit of a headache a lot of times just because they involve formulas, and formulas are awful and we have to memorize them in whatever the situation is. But the good news about conditional probabilities is you can find them using a two-way table or a Venn diagram if you have one, and you will always have the ability to create one. All right, let me back up. You almost always have the ability to create one. Sometimes you'll only have some information. All right, so let's run through, talk about conditional probabilities. I'll show you the formula. I'm going to do most of the questions with the formula. This is one of these formulas. I say this all the time about stuff. I know most high school math formulas because I use them. I don't know this one unless I have it in front of me because typically I have a two-way table and there's no reason to do it this way. All right. So here's what we got going on. Conditional probabilities are you say, okay, this happened. What's the probability that this also happens or that this happens next? All right. So the probability of B happening, maybe if I can write here. Whoops, there we go. I'm going to write randomly. And we're going to keep doing it. All right. Try this again. So the probability of B happening if A has already happened. All right, meaning that like the last section, if you did those, there was one where they were in the park. What's probably they were flying a kite if they were a woman. All right, so it's kind of an if-then situation. And what these do is they limit the bottom of your fraction. All right, so they say they take it and they make something specifically happen. So you're not using everything as your sample space. Okay, it's written in a weird way with a slash in there. All right, and it means what's probably that A happens if B already happened. That's what that one specifically means. What is the probability the first thing happened if the second thing already happened? As I said, if you've got a two-way table or a Venn diagram, you can always do this. All right, you just look at the column or the row that it's talking about. Sometimes if you have different information, you can make different things happen, in terms of not having to use this formula. But sometimes we got to use the formula. That's just the unfortunate probability of math. Okay. So if I'm talking about what's the probability of A happening given that B already happened, the big thing is this happened. We have to understand that the second thing is what happened. And I forgot an ED on there. Whatever happened is what goes on the bottom because you're limiting your sample space to just those things. All right. You want to say, okay, just those things are the things we're choosing from. Okay. And then the top is just the and of the two things happening at the same time. All right. So it's limiting your sample space to a specific category of it. And then it's saying, okay, let's do both things happening, which is why if we have the two-way table, we can just focus on that column because that column is literally the and column for the two things or the three things or whatever happening. Okay. Fractions, decimals, percents, just like before. All right. Use actual numbers on the rare occasion you have them, meaning you probably have a two-way table. Okay. And this is just going to be a cross multiply situation or a division situation, depending on what's happening. They will occasionally give you the probability, the conditional probability, and ask you for one of the other probabilities. Okay. So we've got to be able to think our way through this. There could be some much higher level questions where it gives you a two-way table or a Venn diagram and then says, hey, here's these probabilities, fill the rest of it in, and then you might have to use the formula. Okay, so formula you're going to want to know. All right, the more you know it, the quicker you know it, the less time you have to spend looking for it, and the easier your work is.